opened. Firstly, one would like to
recording in progress.
To state some kind of a welcome to the Department of Agriculture, Land and Rural Development. We supposed to have this meeting in order to get some help and briefing from them, and we would like to welcome and of course state some appreciation for them attending our meeting. We also appreciate and welcome everybody else who has attended this meeting with interest. As members of Portfolio Committee, we welcome all of you, and we also welcome the Department of Public Enterprise. Of course, we are expected them to be part of this session. To just give a short background to their meeting, the Portfolio Committee has undertaken oversight visit to both Safcol and Alexkor, which are one of two. It's two of the state-owned entities that are falling under the Department of Public Enterprise. It became apparent that both companies complain about the unresolved land claim issues. At Alexkor, the community has not been able to access an amount of 45 million for a long time now, because the community structures were not in place, or the department hasn't yet, which is the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, has not yet been able to identify the relevant beneficiaries of that amount for a long time now. The Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development gave us an update with timeframes at some point. Would like to know how far are you in resolving this particular issue or these problems that are there. At Safcol, more than 60% of the land that Safcol operates on is under also land claims. This has been for more than 10 years now. We met with representatives of these claimants, whom some were very old and most have died already before they could realize land ownership. Safcol is unable to expand and develop due to this particular impasse. Therefore, ours is to get some kind of an update and a clarity from the department so that we can also respond back to the pressure that we get from these claimants and the beneficiaries. This meeting, therefore, is not necessarily to be long. It's not necessarily supposed to be long, and it's just to get that particular update from the Department of Agriculture, Land Reforms, and Rural Development. Before we go straight to them making their presentation, one would like to quickly ask the Secretary to provide us with some apologies, if there are any apologies.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. The apologies I've received is from the Minister and Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, including our Minister, but the Deputy Minister for Public Enterprise is present in the meeting. There's also a apology from Mr. Kwangwa, Ms. Carol Peary will be present, but she won't be able to participate in the meeting, Chairperson. Yeah, those are the apologies I've received.
Okay, thank you, Secretary. As our tradition, before we give to our guests to make their presentation, we normally ask the ministry to provide us with some political overview, and then we go then to the department that's supposed to make a presentation. Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Greetings to you. Would have been really for the lead department on the matter, that is the Department of Agriculture and Land Affairs, that would have really introduced. We work with the with the.
Yeah.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
We are struggling to hear you. I think you are experiencing connection later.
Let me find. Okay, Chair, my apologies, but you can proceed. Thank you.
But we hear you now on the last part.
Yes, Chair. No, I was saying, Honorable Chair, it would have been for the Ministry of Agriculture and Land Affairs to do the introductory remarks. From where I sit, we have been trying to work together with them in finding solutions to these matters. But surely, I'm sure the presentation will take us somewhere insofar as progress on these matters. And Chair, without much ado, I would rather we leave to the official so mandated to lead the presentation.
Thank you, Deviam. Thank you so much. Honorable members, let's go straight to the Department of Land Reforms and Rural Development, of Agriculture, Land Reforms and Rural Development to make their presentation. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thanks for the welcome. My name is Mogitza Ramasodi from the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, the DG for the department. Today we will be taking the portfolio committee on two presentations that will be made from ourselves. One from the Commissioner for Land Restitution, who will be addressing the issues relating to Safcol and also to the issues that the chair has referred to. And there will be another presentation that will only focus on the CPA issues or even the Northern Cape in terms of the CPA that is responsible for the area. Without a lot of pre-words, Chair, allow me to introduce to you the Commissioner Mayor Nomfundo Gobodo, will be taking the portfolio committee through the presentation, and after that we will request that Khozomo just follows her with a presentation that will cover issues around the 9 entities that are assisting in the Northern Cape with the Richtersveld issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG, and good morning to the Portfolio Committee Chair and honorable members. My name, as already indicated by the DG, is Nomfundo Gobodo. I will be making the presentation in so far as it relates to Safcol issues on land claims associated with forestry. Next slide, Ralph, please. Chair, the presentation as it stands has a lot of background information to assist the committee understand our processes. So I will focus on some slides and not on others. As you understand, our mandate comes from the Constitution itself, and the Commission on Land Restitution specifically is mandated from Section 25(7) of the Constitution, which states that a person or community dispossessed of property after June 1913 as a result of partially discriminatory laws and or practices to the extent provided for in the Act is entitled to equitable redress. Next slide, please. Can I have the next slide, please? Unfortunately, I'm not controlling the slide from my side, so. The next slide, Ralph, please. Okay, in the meantime, while the Secretariat is trying to move, I'll just look at, thank you very much. Okay. So I need the following slide, Ralph, which is slide 3, which focuses on the legislative mandate. Our mandate emanates from the Restitution Act of 1994, and which, as I've already indicated, comes from the Constitution. I'm not going to go into the vision and the mission, and as well, I'm not going to go into page 5, 6 to speak about the fact that the Commission on Restitution of Land Rights contributes to the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development's strategic goal, which is equitable access to sustainable use of land for development promoted. The next slide speaks to the restitution process. I just thought it was important for me to show how our process unfolds so that it assists the committee to have an understanding of how we do business. It's page 6, Secretariat. The restitution process has currently 4 phases, where the first phase is lodgement, and that talks to us receiving claims. And as you are aware, there was a cutoff date of 1998 December, so we are currently dealing with all of those claims that were lodged then. And second phase, we screen, we then gazette those claims that are found to be compliant, and then we investigate. And then phase 4, we do negotiations, where we then conduct verification of the beneficiaries and set up legal entities. Some beneficiaries will opt for financial compensation, and so we will then identify those through the verification process and pay. And if they opt for land, we set up a legal entity, which is either a communal property association, often referred to as a CPA or a trust. And then the land is then transferred into the CPA or trust to be held in title on behalf of those communities. If there are any conflicts with regard to that process, the matter then has to be referred to the Land Claims Court for the court to make a determination on how the process should unfold, whether it is a question of validity of the claim, or whether there are competing claims, which we sometimes have where more than two communities are contesting a validity of the same land. And so that issue then has to be determined by court. Even sometimes the extent of the hectares that are involved, that has to be referred to court. Or sometimes the landowner actually disputes the validity of the claim, and therefore then the court has to make a determination on all of those. And so the next slides just refer to the various terminology that we use in the commission, and so I will not go to each of those, but I will focus then on the slide that just gives the background. Chairperson, I'm not sure whether the problem is on my side. The slides are moving and they are not moving in the context of how I am presenting. But I am hoping that the honorable members are able to follow me from their own presentations. But currently, Ralph, if you can move a slide back, I'm presenting the slide that talks to the claims lodged as of the 31st December 1998, the previous slide. Thank you. This is a slide that just gives the background of the claims that were lodged by the cutoff date, December 1998. Total 79,696 claims were lodged across the country. And as you can see, you had a lot of claims in the Eastern Cape, KZN, and the Western Cape. But the interesting thing is the numbers don't necessarily relate to the extent of the hectares lodged. So a lot of claims in the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, for example, are urban.
Kundo, I'm sorry, man, to disturb you, because you might continuously have this problem of the reflection of the stride not according to where you are. Can you give one of our officials a right to share?
Chairperson,
Yeah.
I have made Ms. Ntloko a co-host, so Ralph can remove the stop sharing so that she can share.
No, it's fine, because my presentation, I'll have to look for it, and then it might cause unnecessary delays. I'm hoping that now we're on the same page, because he is on the same page.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Continue then, ma'am.
So I was saying that you will see, for example, that in the Eastern Cape, you've got 16,000 claims lodged, but a lot of those are urban or individual family claims, and with lower extent in the context of hectares, as opposed to, for example, Northwest, which has 3,900 claims lodged, but you can have one claim with over 2,000 hectares. And so the correlation is not just about the number of claims lodged, but the extent of hectares lodged. Next slide, Ralph, please. So the next slide talks to the breakdown of our business projects, and it talks to the extent of hectares and the land use that is associated. It shows you that we have 13% of our claims that are sitting at forestry claims, and you can see that most of the claims that we deal with are mixed use, and the rest, because of the processes that we're currently undertaking, are to be determined. But it gives you a picture of the type of work that we have to undertake dealing with various sectors and or commodities. Next slide, please. The slide then speaks to the outstanding claims, so far as it relates to Safcol plantations. And these, as already indicated, that at least 61% of the plantations are directly affected by land claims. And we did an analysis, and where we identified that in KZN, we've got a total of 14 claims and that are affected, and 3 are sitting at research, 4 are sitting at negotiation, and 4 are sitting at settlement, and 3 are currently being implemented. And we also have 22 in Limpopo, And we've got 15 in Mpumalanga, which gives us a total of 51 claims where Safcol is affected. And if you can go to the next slide for me, please. And to try and sort out the issues, we have or are participating in the commercial forestry sector master plan, which has been established for 2020 to 2025 with all of the relevant stakeholders. And what was identified as key deliverables was, number one, that the claims must be expedited, and particularly that we identify those are close to finalization. And quarterly national level forum meetings have been identified so that we're able to work in a coordinated fashion. And as I've already indicated, we have identified the claims and we know where they are and the status and what we need to do. Next slide. And the second deliverable, apologies, Chair, it shouldn't say number 3, it should say number 2, is the provision of post-settlement support. And here, as part of the master plan, an MOU has been drafted to review the settlement models. And it has been developed and submitted to the Department of Fisheries and Forestry. And to date, there is now a review of the model that is being done so that we as a collective are able to focus as all of the stakeholders on how best it would be for us to fast track and settle these claims. And as a result, the Kapsehuk community claim in Mpumalanga has been identified possibly to be a pilot that will assist us to work collectively so that we find lasting solutions to this. Next slide, please. And there obviously has to be post-settlement support after the claims have been settled. And again, we are working with all of the various departments through this MOU so that we make sure that forestry supports recommendations on how processing and post-settlement support can happen. Post-settlement support speaks to the sustainability of the projects and collaboration, co-management, and the like, but I'll speak about the pilot in the next slide on how we seek to do this. Chairperson and honorable members, we have identified, as I've already indicated, Kapsehuk community land claim in Mpumalanga to help us with the coordination as part of this master plan. And the claim is in Mpumalanga, as I've already indicated. It has got 81 households that have been verified, and the land is owned by the Department of Public Works. And Safcol is the management authority that currently manages this, the forestry plantation. The claim currently is being settled in 2 phases, where the town itself is obviously not restorable. We are allowed in terms of the Restitution Act to either provide alternative redress in the form of alternative land or financial compensation if the land in question, which was unclaimed, is not restorable. And so in this instance, the town is not restorable. And so we are paying financial compensation to the value of 21 million to the various households. And this is a process that is currently underway. And this is happening through the Provincial Restitution Office of Mpumalanga. And so we've got the remaining extent of farms that are still under timber operated by Safcol. And this land comprises of pine tree plantations and natural vegetation and eco-sensitive areas. And so this is the pilot that we are engaging with as part of the master plan to settle, next slide, and making sure that all of the stakeholders are part of the process. As you've heard, we've got Public Works, we've got Safcol, we've got the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land Reform, you've got the Commission, and you might also have obviously the province and other departments, depending on what happens on the land. As you can see in this slide, for example, there's an issue about hiking trails in the vicinity of the land claim, so that provides an opportunity, which means that possibly we could involve tourism as well. So we are wanting to then deal with it in a fashion that is coordinated. Next slide, please. This slide just speaks to the potential model to be used for Kapsehuk, and hopefully this will be used as part of the pilot in consultation with all of those role players that I've already mentioned. And this will include the Department of Public Works as a former landowner, which would then donate the land to the CPA, which is a communal property association as indicated. The management authority would then participate, and there will be potential rental income to the community. And Safcol will continue to manage the plantation, which is 100% owned by Komati Land Forestry. Rental income obviously would then go directly to the community, who are the claimant beneficiaries who have the CPA as 100% owners. Safcol would then engage the communities in benefits that are upstream as part of the value chain, and any other related activities, as I indicated, conservation, tourism, and unplanted areas that could be used as part of the value add for the communities. And so this is a proposed settlement model that proactively engages the community and all of the stakeholders, so that as required by the master plan, we're able to fast track the settlement of these claims that are on Safcol land. It's important that we have coordination, because as the commission, there's a certain part that we're responsible on, which is to make sure that we acquire the land that is under claim if it is restorable, or if it's not restorable, we provide alternative redress. But it's very important that we get support from other role players who are on the land, because it then becomes their responsibility to ensure that there is collaboration so that the communities can get meaningful benefit in terms of some of the value chains that they can collaborate in, without necessarily affecting, if possible, what is happening on the plantation. But hopefully that also there are opportunities for the community themselves to get involved, and as part of the management of the projects, skills transfer and all of that. So it becomes very important that this is seen not just as a project that will involve just the commission, but will involve all of the other role players. Chairperson, what we have done as well is that we've submitted a list of projects that are affected by that have claims where Safcol is affected, as an attachment, where in the list we actually tell you the name of the community. For example, the first one is Chakuma community, and we tell you the status that it has been settled, and the title deed has not yet been transferred to the community due to a court challenge by another community in this one. And so that one is waiting for court resolution. Then the second example, for example, is the Ravela community, where again, this one, the claim has been settled, but the title deed has not been transferred, as the signing of the settlement agreement is in progress. And once that has happened and the agreement has been signed, we will make sure that there is coordination where the department that is participating in the settlement negotiations must assist with post-settlement arrangements between Safcol and the communities so that we can finalize the forestry business and make sure that it's sustainable. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I think I'll stop there and allow my co-presenter then to come in on the Safcol or Alexkor issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we go further to your co-host, co-presenter?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, Deputy Minister, DG, and colleagues. Chairperson, my name is Khozo Moeketsi. As DG has already introduced me, I am responsible for the Office of the National Department in the Northern Cape. I am accompanied by Mr. Itumelo Mashune, who is responsible for the CPAs in the Northern Cape. Honorable Chair, I'm going to project from my side. I hope, Honorable Chair, you can see the presentation. Honorable Chair, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, I'm trying to make slideshow. Okay. Honorable Chair, let me just pick up on what Chief Land Claims Commissioner has said. Our main responsibility as a department is, we come in once the land has been transferred to either a trust or CPA. In the context of Richtersveld, this land has been transferred to the CPA. And in terms of the CPA Act, the Director General of the department has certain responsibilities. So that is what I wanted to start, Chairperson. But for purposes of this presentation, Honorable Chair, our main focus will be on the status of those entities that were established as a result of the land claim. Yeah, this is the outline of the presentation. And then the purpose, we are here to brief you on the status of Richtersveld as it relates to the CPA. But before that, Chairperson, I think it is important to inform the honorable members that currently the Richtersveld Communal Property Association is under judicial administration. This decision was taken on the 28th of February 2020, following the application to the Northern Cape High Court by the then DG as someone who's responsible, for providing support to CPAs across the country. In terms of the court order of Justice Williams of the 28th, there were certain things, that the department needed to do in order to ensure that the Communal Property Association of Richtersveld is regularized. Chairperson, we are happy that to inform you that the judicial administrator, who is Advocate Don Majid, appointed by the department, is on course in terms of ensuring that the court order of the 28th of February 2020 is implemented. So what has happened, Chairperson? This administration of the CPA, judicial administration, I mean, started the date when the court made an order, and it will run up to next year, February, that is 2023. So, Chairperson, I'm not going to bore you about the background because I know we have, at some point, we came to the committee to make a presentation. But just to say that this was through the assistance of Mr. Henk, who filed a land claim in 1998 in terms of the Restitution of Land Rights Act. And then after, there were protracted court proceedings. And then at the end, the Constitutional Court awarded both the land and mineral rights to the community of Richtersveld. The two departments, that is DPE and the then Department of Land Affairs, now Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, represented government in the settlement negotiations. And then, Chairperson, one of the things that the court directed it was that the issue of the deed of settlement, which was signed in 2007, must be reviewed. Remember, Honorable Chair, this deed of settlement was made an order of court. There were certain things, although the land claim is finalized, but there are certain things that needed to be attended to, and I'm going to speak to those. As I've already indicated, Honorable Chair, this CPA was placed under judicial administration in terms of section 13, subsection 1 of the CPA Act. Also, I've indicated, the judicial administrator, I'm not going to waste time. And what we want to report, Chairperson, immediately after his appointment, the administrator, Advocate Majid, together with colleagues from both the Northern Cape Regional Land Claims Commission and the department, met with the representatives from all the areas of Richtersveld. This was, to develop the work plan as directed by the court in order to ensure that, everything is done accordingly. And we are expected, to report progress to court in terms of this administration. So the administrator, when he started, he met all the representatives and then is doing everything in terms of the court order. Chairperson, I think it's fair to inform you that in terms of the deed of settlement, the structures of the trust and companies, which are intended to house the interests of the community, these structures are very comprehensive yet complex. Very comprehensive, Chair, and I want this to be underlined, very complex. I know also that the issue of the 45 million, 50 million, time and again is being raised. But our understanding is that that money cannot, be given to the communities or beneficiaries up until that these structures are in place. So yes. Yes, Chair. Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry about that, Chairperson. So, Chairperson, this is the way, the entities, were established when the land was, the claim was settled. All in all, Chairperson, we have 9 structures. At the top, we have the Richtersveld Communal Property Association, an entity where the land has been transferred. You have the Richtersveld Community Trust, the Richtersveld Investment Trust, and all the others as reflected, in the slides. I'm not going to waste time because I will touch on each and every one of them. Coming here, Chairperson, the department then appointed, as per the court order that I referred to, of Justice Williams of the Northern Cape High Court, an election agency was appointed to assist with the election of the executive committee of the Richtersveld CPA. This took place in November of last year. I recall that the last time when we were before the committee, we indicated that elections are to take place. We are happy to report that those elections have taken place. And then during January of this year, there were by-elections. So the following slides, Honorable Chair and members, will show the entities, the status of those entities. We are happy to report that as per the court directive, the CPA Executive Committee has been duly elected. Currently, the elected, Executive Committee works hand in glove with the administrator so that at the end of the administration process, they are now able, to run with the day-to-day affairs of the communal property associations. Because in terms of the CPA Act, it is the CPA Executive Committee that is responsible for the day-to-day, affairs of the ordinary members of the CPA, which elected the Executive Committee. The first one, Chairperson, is the CPA. I've already indicated that it has been elected, although it is still under judicial administration. So we have achieved one of the key objectives that the court directed us, to undertake. The CPA currently, is constituted by 15 members. Out of the 15, Honorable Chair, 8 has been elected through the community. Like I said, they work with the administrator. There are 2 representatives from the local municipality, which have been nominated. 2 also nominated, through the discretion of the CPA, and 1 from our side. This one from our side, Chair, I know both the Director General and the Minister, they need to do certain things, but we thought it prudent, to make sure that the Deputy Director responsible for CPA, up until that is DG approval on this, we participate in this because our DG is responsible, for providing support, to CPAs. And then there is only outstanding 2 nominations. This one, Honorable Chair, is for the CPA to deal with. It's 2 individuals, and this is intended to address issues of gender and persons with disabilities. If in the view of the CPA, they need, to make sure that women are represented, then they'll consider, nominating a woman or a person with disabilities. Chair, we wish to inform, the portfolio committee that there is a serious challenge relating to the nominations from the local municipality, that is the Richtersveld local municipality. 2 municipal councillors have been nominated. They serve in the CPA, but members, beneficiaries are not happy about the involvement of politicians in the structure. One of the things, that led to the CPA being put under administration, and this was raised when about 2-3 years ago, when Deputy Minister Skwatsha tried to intervene, when the CPA was not functioning in terms of the act. The municipality has made its nominations, but unfortunately, the community is unhappy about that. I think the committee needs to know that. But this is something that is beyond us, as officials, because at the end of the day, it is members themselves, beneficiaries themselves who take decisions, but they are not happy with this nomination. So the CPA must finalize the outstanding 2 nominations. And then the entities, there is this one, when you look at the structure that that slide that shows how, all of this, they are constituted, is the Richtersveld Community Trust. This one is composed of 7 trustees. And to date, we are happy to say that all people who are supposed to serve here, they have been nominated. The only thing that is awaited is the registration of trustees by the Office of the Master of the High Court. Remember, trust, yeah, the responsibility of the Master of the High Court. And then the following one is the Richtersveld Mining Company, RMC. This one, the composition is 6 directors. To date is only 4 community members. The other 2 nominations of 2 independent directors, it's outstanding. And this one is supposed to be done by Self-Devco, which is a company that has been appointed, to deal with the issues relating to all of these entities. And then the other one is Richtersveld Environmental Rehabilitation Company. The composition there is 6 directors. We are also happy to say that all the 6 directors, they have been appointed and they have been appointed. The only thing here, Chair, is just to make sure that the rehabilitation, obligations are executed in terms of the deed of settlement requirements. Yes, yeah. This one, Honorable Chair, the agricultural one, this company has been liquidated, but now there is a new one that has been established, and it is called Richtersveld Growers. This one also, Chairperson, the community beneficiaries themselves, they have resolved that instead of having 4 directors of the new company, I'm not talking about the liquidated one. It must be constituted by only 4 community members who must be elected. So the elections of these 4 community members has not yet taken place. But there, Chairperson, there is a serious challenge. There is a new group in Richtersveld that is calling itself Take Charge Nama United Richtersveld Company. This grouping, it has submitted a petition to the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature that they must be the managers of the farm. I'm aware that the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature is also, is engaged on a process, to deal with this. We are anticipating that in due course, they will call us, to come in, whilst in the process of resolving this, to come and share, our views on how this matter can be resolved by the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature. The other one, Chair, is the Richtersveld Property Holding Company. Composition is 6 directors. To date, 4 community members have been appointed, and here again, Self-DevCo have not appointed 2 independent directors. These directors are still to negotiate with Alexkor regarding the feasibility of transfer for both 45 million and the residential business properties to this company as required by the deed of settlement. So up until such time that, this company, is up and running, everybody's on board, that story of 45 million, will have to be dealt with, The 7th one, Chairperson, is the Richtersveld Self-Development Company. Composition 11 directors. It's just unfortunate that to date, only 4 community members. You can see here, Chairperson, since the CPA, has been assisted, to conduct elections of the executive committee, they've been able, to ensure that community members are represented, in all these entities. It's just that from the side of independent directors through Self-DevCo, that process is slow. So even here, 3 independent directors to be appointed by the trust still outstanding, and 4 persons to be nominated by each of the subsidiaries. And then second last one, Chairperson, is the Richtersveld Investment Trust. Composition 9 trustees, to date only 7. Here, Chairperson, 1, because this one, it needs approval of our minister, the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. We have, followed all the approval processes, and then this thing it should reach DG so that proper recommendation is made to the minister to consider appointing 1 trustee to the Richtersveld Investment Trust. And then in terms of the Minister of Finance, we have been advised that the Minister of Finance has exercised his right not to participate further. I think on this, Honorable Chair and members, our colleagues from DPE, they will be able, to clarify that. But this is the situation now in terms of the Richtersveld Investment Trust. And then the last one, Chairperson, is the Richtersveld Investment Holding Company. The composition is 8. To date, only 4 members, community members have been appointed. And again, 1 independent director has not yet been appointed. 1 also by the Minister of Finance, 1 by our minister, and Self-DevCo is also to nominate 1. And then this is the status of those entities, Honorable Chair, which has been established in terms of the land claim. In conclusion, Chairperson, we wish, to raise the following to the committee. 1, the serious dynamics within the Richtersveld entities. For an example, no staff to support directors, limited financial benefits, a bloated and complex structure, poor communication, limited accountability. Like this were created to protect the assets of the CPA. These are regarded as one of the factors impacting negatively, on the operation, on survival and effectiveness of the CPA. I think the community should note that. The second issue that we wish to bring to the attention of the committee is that this project requires that the Richtersveld in its entirety, it requires sufficient human resources in order to address the different needs as provided for in the deed of settlement. The other issue is that these different structures mentioned, they require dedicated specialist officials to support the structure. Like as I was presenting, I mentioned, investment and all of those things. So unfortunately, there are no dedicated specialists, to support these structures until such time that these are reviewed. Appointment of independent directors is also cumbersome and without any administration support and budget for any of the entities. We are happy to report that, Chair, the CPA general meeting, which was held in December, at the beginning of December, dealt with the issue of election dispute. I think honorable members will be aware that the communal property associations, by their very nature, they are conflict-ridden. You find a situation where after every elections, there will be other groupings, especially those that did not make it, in the executive committee. The same beneficiaries, they will group themselves, they will declare disputes, This is not only applicable to Richtersveld, it's across the country. But with Richtersveld, there was a general meeting, convened, and then they dealt with the disputes and the issue of by-elections, which were held in January of this year. Currently, this executive committee, that is elected members, they have deemed it fit, to appoint their own attorney so that he can assist them in intervening in most of the matters. Remember, Honorable Chair, the reason why they have appointed their own attorney. A CPA is a juristic person, as lawyers will say. It can sue and it can be sued. So they are within their right, to appoint their own attorney to assist them, This will ensure that, the elected representative, they focus on other matters day to day, but pertaining to legal matters, this attorney will assist them. And then in April of this year, that is 2 months back, members of the 9 entities, there was an induction workshop where they were exposed, to training in terms of roles, there are different roles as provided for in the deed of settlement. And also there was a training for members of the executive committee of the CPA in terms of compliance and governance. Because one of the challenges that has been raised is that CPAs, they don't comply with the legislation, which is the CPA Act, and also they don't comply with their own constitutions, So they were exposed to this type of training. And then the very last slide, Chairperson, like I said, the judicial administrator, is on course. We are very happy, Chair, to ensure that, to report that the court, order is being implemented. We hope that at the end of this judicial administration, come the end of February next year, when the judicial administrator hands over to the CPA, they will be able, to execute their fiduciary duties in terms of the CPA Act as well as their own constitution as the CPA, so that they are able to serve their own members or beneficiaries. Chair, if you see this rates, at a time when we are finalizing this, report to the honorable members of the committee, there was a meeting, CPA general meeting that was held. Here we said planned, but we are happy to report that it was held on the 30th and the 31st. The department was represented there by Mr. Itumele Mashuni, who's part of this meeting. The issue of membership list was discussed. Preparation for the workshop, one of the things that the court directed us to do was for us to assess the CPA to consider reviewing their own constitution. And also one of the things that was discussed in the last 2 days, Honorable Chair, was the status of these structures that we have been talking about, the 8 structures, And then finally, Chair, we say the Portfolio Committee on Public Service, Public Enterprises must note the progress report as presented by the Director General of the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Honorable members, I have just noticed that the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform, and Rural Development